Hello, my name is Jack Stanley, and I'm the co-founder of the Tech Academy. I'd like to welcome you to the Tech Academy podcast. The Tech Academy operates a 15-week software developer bootcamp. You can find out more at our website, learncodinganywhere.com.
Our guest today is Alexandrea Beh, who works with Navex Global, and I think you're really going to enjoy this talk. She, first of all, describes an incredible dev shop, but specifically an intentional culture surrounding mentorship and a few other things that are really important to developers that is really good food for thought. Enjoy.
Diagram this regular expression.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Where are you from?
I'm from Vancouver, Washington, and I'm living in Tigard now.
Oh, cool.
So I've been around the area pretty much all my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been here 25 years. I'm one of those California implants, but mostly on the west side. Live in Tigard now, and I like that area of town.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a local.
Yeah,
I met a local.
I am a local.
Awesome.
Yes. Are they becoming rare nowadays?
Yes, unfortunately. Especially in the tech world, because it's such an attractive place to come for tech. It's just great environment, great cost of living, good job, and a good community. The tech community here is awesome. So
I'm just now starting to get out into the community a little bit more.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
How long have you been at Navex?
2.5 years. It's my first job out of college.
Really?
And I'm very happy with it.
You did well. It's a great company.
I'm really happy. Yeah, Navex is great.
Yeah, wow. Okay. And they're picky about who they hire.
They are. We are very particular about culture fit.
Yeah.
That's in part why I was really excited to talk about mentorship culture, because mentorship and culture are two things that I really underestimated when I first got in industry. I was looking to get my first job, and it's just not the first thing you think about.
No.
It really matters.
Super important, though, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. Yeah. Did you ever, and we'll talk about the mentorship program at Navex and that kind of thing.
Sure.
I'm just curious, had you ever encountered anything like mentorship in high school or anything like that, or college?
Sure, I did in college. I worked part-time as a resident assistant, and so you wear many hats. Part of it is putting on programs for the students who live in the dorms and having fun events, and part of it is also making sure that students who are struggling get the right resources, and part of it is also doing some university policy management. Everyone would have their rounds, and I got to break up the parties on campus. So, some days you're people's friend and some days you're really not. You learn to deal with that. And it was a wide array of responsibilities that most students had never been exposed to. And so the type of training and ongoing mentorship from our supervisors was really key. In order to give people that experience. As an RA. Okay. Right. Because there are so many situations confronting large groups and things like that that most students haven't had to face before. And so how do you have that support system and have a place where you can talk to someone about how that's going? Yeah. Right. That was my first experience with mentorship.
That's very cool. How'd you get into the RA role?
It was the end of my freshman year, and I was thinking about what sort of student jobs I might have, and I really wanted to push myself. In my first year of college, I was really exploring what does leadership mean to me, and I identify very strongly as an introvert, and most narratives in society say that if you're an introvert, you're going to be quiet, you're going to be shy, and that's not the typical characteristic of a leader. And I really wanted to see if I could challenge that, break out of my shell and say, how can I make this work? Because I really had a lot of ideas and I wanted to make them happen.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
well
being
done.
involved in student life was really fun.
That's fantastic. Where'd you go to school?
Pacific University out in Forest Grove.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And beautiful out there, too, isn't it?
Yes. I originally went there for optometry, and obviously I did not follow that path.
What did your final degree? What was it?
My degree is still in biology.
Okay.
I found computer science halfway through undergrad. I was working at the Vision Performance Institute, and they do a lot of computer ergonomics studies. And so they had a programmer who wrote software for the various computer and TV displays where you would do vision tests.
Oh, yeah.
And then he went and got a real programming job, a full-time programming job, and there was no one left who knew how to program. So I was the intern, and they said, hey, we need you to just tweak this variable. It's not much, but no one knows what's going on in this code. We got subjects coming in the next day. Can you go tweak this? And that was how I first touched code.
And how did it go?
It went well. I swear it was just changing the value of a variable.
Yeah.
But I got interested and went, wait a minute, this is a profession. Maybe I should look into it. I'd always been really interested in Excel. I love spreadsheets. I love math and logic. And it started to click for me. Like, maybe I should take a computer science course.
Very, very cool. How is the computer science training out there?
It's great. It's a fairly small program, but you get a lot of personal attention.
Yep.
I still talk with my professors. And in fact, I'm meeting one of them and one of my best friends this weekend.
That's very cool.
Just to stay in touch and talk about what's going on in industry and how curriculum can fit into that.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Now, I know that the tech talk you're going to give is all about mentorship. And again, this is going to be a podcast. Like, I think we're going to talk about the thing. Do you do active development? Are you a coder? Are you a manager? Like, what role do you play day to day?
I am a software developer, and I work on a lot of platform integration, user management, authentication tools for our suite of products. And so I code day to day. I do have some side roles that I've just decided to take on that are informal leadership role, so to speak. I'm not a manager, but one of the things about a company culture is valuing ongoing learning. And so I am the facilitator for a Lunch and Learn series.
Yeah.
So every other week, I get people who come to me and say, hey, I want to give a talk on this cool new thing that I was playing around with, and I want to show it off to everybody, or I learned about this concept, and I think it's going to be really great to share. And sometimes they're technical topics, sometimes they're soft skills topics. Both are equally important.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a really big part of what we do.
And you run that?
Yes.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
What languages do you use? What kind of stack are you guys developing in a lot?
We're mostly Microsoft Shop, so a lot of C#, and coming from formal training more in back-end stuff. That's my main comfort. We use SQL, and on the front end, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, TypeScript, depending on which product you're working on, things like that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, was there... Okay, I know you didn't get a CS degree, right? But you almost like a minor, basically, right?
Yes, I actually did a minor in computer science and took some summer classes to try and fit it all into 4 years.
Okay.
And, yeah,
so
it was worth it.
What languages were you using in school?
C and C++.
Okay.
And so I was already exposed to the C family. Before my interview, I did some Googling. I read the Wikipedia article on C# and went, okay, so here's the progression of these languages. I could see that they're a lot more similar than I thought.
Yeah.
And I was also partially self-taught. For example, I didn't have the time to take a database class or a lot of front-end stuff. And so I have this curious mix of academic, traditional classes and being self-taught.
Very cool. It's kind of a cool hybrid. It's one of the things that we're putting together with Concordia is essentially the sort of concept of a hybrid degree where a person can minor in computer science, but essentially what they're doing over 5 successive semesters is they're going through our entire boot camp.
That's great.
Yeah, they get the college experience and everything that brings, which is valuable, but they also get well, it's a boot camp, so it concentrates entirely on practical skills and can you actually just arrive on the job and get the job done.
Right.
And I'm really, really glad to see some instances of academia recognizing the need for some sort of a shift, to be able to handle what's going on in the marketplace. Because, well, there's so many jobs.
It is always changing.
Yeah, everything's changing. There's so many jobs, and we aren't making enough talent to fill a job. So, but hey, we'll talk about the thing.
All right.
I was first a mentor in the Navy, and found an incredibly valuable role and very, very scary, especially if the person you're mentoring is about your same age or sort of range, and yet you have this different role. Tell me about your journey on that line. Like, is there a formal system there? Is there informal? When did you come on board? Did you have a mentor? Just tell me about it.
Sure. So a combination of both. When I was hired in a cohort of sorts of many junior software engineers. And Navex deliberately chose to hire enough junior engineers so that we had a 1-to-1 ratio of new hire juniors to our senior engineers. And we did that so that each person could be paired up with a senior engineer as their formal mentor, and everyone had a 6-week boot camp. And the boot camp was, we're going to work on a project that specifically touches real code isn't customer facing yet, so it's not as high stakes when you're first getting started, but it had some real impact to our actual products. And so, one, you were a lot more motivated because you could see, here's how it impacts what we're doing. And you're not just doing some throwaway project. You had a goal to work towards, and you had a designated person that you could go to and walking through this project. But at the same time, the entire environment's really supportive. You could walk up to anybody's desk and say, hey, I'm stuck on this, or you type a message in Slack, because we're also very flexible. There are people working remotely any given day, and just saying, hey, I could use some thoughts on this. And so we have formal and informal mentorship there.
Man.
Yeah.
Sorry, the leadership
really
involved in that is incredible. Like, that's a significant investment of time and process and people and changing people's minds about things. And, I have to deal with a junior developer and all sorts of... But it has to be present at the leadership level. And so you walked into an environment like that.
Yes.
You lucky person.
I was really, really lucky. And like I said, I hadn't been deliberately looking for that.
Yeah.
But within a few weeks, I realized, oh my goodness, this is going to be really, really important.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Because
and it's so smart. On their end, they get an opportunity to bring a junior developer up the line, doing business the way they want to do business.
Exactly.
And if they are that deliberate about a formal mentorship program, you can bet they're that deliberate about coding standards and built-in libraries that we're going to make of our own stuff, all that. And so they get someone who gets grooved in on that whole line and is that much more valuable. Right.
And it takes an investment that some companies aren't willing to make. When I was first job searching, and I'm sure many people will relate to this, you could be looking at an entry-level position that says you must have 3 years of experience in the industry, right? How do you get that?
And let's just
There's always going to be something you don't know.
Let's step back for a second and look at the idea of, here's a computer science sort of nerd expert who knows binary, right? Yes, no, true, false. Entry level with 3 years. I'm sorry, it actually doesn't compute. And it's just like, what's the viewpoint behind that kind of a thing? But you're right. There are various approaches to cracking it. We have to crack it with our students all the time. But man, when you hear about a company that really goes, if we front load the time that this employee is here with genuine care and structure and mentorship and here's how we do things, and don't expect them like instant production, man, the product you get out the other end, it's really, really good. They're stable. They're comfortable. They know the operating environment. They know their culture. They can go, now I can produce.
Exactly. And we do look for people who can ramp up quickly, but it's less about do you know everything going in the door versus do you have the curiosity, the drive, the resourcefulness to take everything that the company is going to give you, that the mentors are going to provide you, and run with it. Ask questions when you need to, but just run with it and just ramp up as quickly as you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a lot like a boot camp.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Okay, so how is the mentorship process structured? What do they do? Or is there like official guidance and policy on here's how one is a mentor and what you're expected to do? Is there like formal times it happens, or is it very loose? Okay, Bob, you're Jane's mentor. Have fun.
It's a little more like the latter. It depends on each person's schedule. At the very beginning, there's a lot of regular meetings, and it also depends on what project you're working on, because each person gets a different project, right? It's not some throwaway boilerplate, everybody does the same thing. It just depends on what the needs are of the department at that time. So beyond that, we have coding standards, we have training videos, some that have already been recorded. We also have our new hires take the training that our customers would take when they're first buying our products to understand what is the end user's experience of this thing that you're trying to build, get familiar with the company's product, all sorts of things like that.
That's so great.
Yeah.
That's so great. I mean, I've heard from fellow developers for a long time that Navex is a great place to work, right? But I haven't been able to find out, okay, what does that mean? Why is that?
Right.
And there's such a deliberateness in all the right ways that word can be used behind what you're describing. Like, they are intentionally creating an environment, a culture, and rather than just, whatever happens, happens.
Right. And another thing that I really love It doesn't matter how well prepared you are going into a job, whether it was your schooling or independent studies. Like we said, tech's always changing. There's going to be something new to learn. And so every developer has a Pluralsight subscription, which is a whole bunch of online video courses specifically aimed at people who are already in industry, because you've always got to see what's coming up next.
Absolutely.
And so we have access to that. And every 2 weeks, this is something that started in our Lake Oswego office at headquarters. Now, our Vice President of Engineering, Andy Burke, has grown this program so that it applies to all developers across all locations. 2 weeks or 2 hours out of every week is time that we've had set aside for something we call research sessions. And that's time to say, go further your career. Go watch a video course. Go fix that bug that's really been bugging you that we haven't put on our roadmap. Do something that is going to contribute to your professional development and help the company.
Oh, that's great.
And so there's a degree of autonomy there. Sometimes we've collaborated. We've done a group of juniors a little while back said, not enough of us know about PowerShell. Let's learn about PowerShell, figure out what the DevOps guys need, and let's build something for them. And so we have this internal tool that we built for them. Things like that.
Sorry. You are describing one of the best development shops I think I've heard of in a long time.
I really like the culture there.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest reasons why I stay.
That is fantastic. I just realized halfway through that thing you were saying that some of the people you work with might actually listen to this if you let them know about it.
Yeah, actually, shout out Teron and Daniel. They told me to put a link to this podcast as soon as it comes out.
Well,
they listen to many, many podcasts.
They should.
Yes.
It's really cool what you're describing. And I really hope that if anybody else is listening who is in any position of leadership of a development team or any kind of technology culture at a company, this stuff does matter. And this is how you attract and keep really good talent. Because the really good talent isn't necessarily the smartest coder in the room. It's someone who just has passion and will go that extra mile and will think creatively and will take initiative to fix something. Right. And if they're in a culture like that, man, what wouldn't they do for that group? So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you looking? I'm conscious of the fact that people might be listening to this, right? Are you looking to leadership in the future? Do you want to be a manager? Do you like that part of it, or would you ever could you ever leave coding? What is that like for you?
I don't know if I would ever want to leave coding entirely, and I know that's what many managers say. I've seen it as they've gotten promoted up the chain. I do know that I really like facilitating projects and helping connect people. If you see, hey, one person's really interested in this problem and they're working on it by themselves, and another person's doing the exact same thing, I love being that facilitator.
Isn't that neat?
That's one of the things I do for Lunch and Learns right now. And so it's something that I'm actively exploring.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and there's lots of opportunities that I really like being able to informally take on these side roles at Navex. Another thing that recently happened is that I was asked to be the project manager for Hour of Code. We have a partnership through our parent company, Vista, where we've partnered with code.org to say, let's do some more outreach in the community, primarily Hour of Code in Computer Science Education Week, but who knows?
That's great.
We're going to see what happens there.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
We finally are getting big enough to the point where we can put some resources into stuff like that. This last summer, we helped on a code camp for kids. It was there's a business incubator out in Beaverton called Best HQ, which is it's where we started. So they're very near and dear to my heart, and they're just people of goodwill. They're really, really, really good people. And Ron, the guy that runs it, called me up and said, "Hey, we want to do a couple code camps this summer for middle schoolers." And the way it all rolled out was actually really, really cool. We're just finishing a book for absolute beginners on coding using Small Basic, which is really, I don't know if you looked at Small Basic, but it's the simplest, cleanest IDE you can imagine. It's just a language and IDE, integrated development environment for our listeners, that Microsoft put out a while back that uses a version of Basic called Small Basic. It's got about 12 or 14 basic commands, or fundamental commands, and a bunch of methods that are attached to each of those. So it's real simple and easy to learn. And all the executables that are produced by it are .NET compatible. So people get grooved into that .NET ecosystem. But it's a fantastic learning language for a beginner. So we took this book called Learn Coding Basics in Hours Using Small Basic. And we gave it to 3 of our students who wanted to do this code camp. And all they did was they went out and they led these middle schoolers through the book one section and chapter at a time. And kids just loved it.
That's a great experience.
And for our students, what a phenomenal experience.
Right.
You know? So we need to see, we need more of that. We need more of that. So that's a really cool thing to be helping
it's
on.
something I'm really passionate about and something I did in university as well. And so it's great getting to continue that as a professional.
Very cool. When you were growing up, did you have anybody connected to the technology industry in your life?
No. The closest I had is my brother, who just always took things apart and seemed to know what to do with computers.
Yeah.
It's funny, there was one time that he went on a trip and my mom deliberately said, okay, I've been waiting to get a new TV, but now that your brother's gone, we're going to get this new TV and you're going to hook it up. You're going to figure it out. And so I was encouraged in little ways like that. But I never really explored software engineering or tech in a very serious way until it sort of happened to me in terms of being in that vision lab and going, oh, maybe this is something I do enjoy. And realizing that a lot of my tendencies towards logic and solving puzzles like that really meshed well with a software career.
God, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super happy to have met you. I'm really glad to have heard, to get to know a bit more about Navex. And again, like, fellow developers rave about the place, and now
it's
I
a great place to work.
So, and I really hope that our listeners who've been thinking about mentorship just take action on it and do something, because I think we're at our best when we're helping other people.
Yes.
And like actually just taking the conscious time to be a mentor to another person. You have to get out of your own head and get out of your own way and think about another person. And you build up the entire organization around you when you do it. And I'm really proud of what you're doing. It's really cool.
And it's a great way to reinforce your own learning as well.
Oh, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. If you can't explain it to somebody else very well, I guess I don't know that as well as I thought I did. So, all right, we'll get you ready for the tech talk you can be given to our students. Especially now, having met you, I think they're really going to get a lot out of it. And I appreciate you coming down here.
Looking forward to it.
Cool.
Hi, this is Jack Stanley again, co-founder of the Tech Academy. I'd like to leave you with a suggestion. We call this Jack's Random Tips. Today's tip is, at most jobs, there are employees who have different duties, meaning every person has a different job. As an employee, it's vital to understand your duties and the skills required for your position. It's also helpful to not only understand the basic job descriptions of those you work with, but even employees in other areas. There are several reasons why it is beneficial to know what other areas of the company you work for are expected to do. The most obvious example is so you know where to send what. For example, if a customer comes in wanting an invoice, you can direct them to accounting or contact the accountant on their behalf. An additional benefit to understanding the functions of others is that it enables you to step in if you choose. For an example, if you're a developer at a company working on a website for a client, but you are also trained in sales, you could upsell clients and potentially earn commissions and bonuses from doing so. It's easy to be isolated and focused on your job only, and there's nothing wrong with that. Frankly, it would be worse if you completely ignored your job and just did somebody else's. There's a sequence here. Learn and do your job well. If you have time and availability, a smart way to enhance your success at a company is to learn other new skills outside of your job description. Expand your activity and increase your zone of responsibility. And if you are barely able to handle the basic functions of your job, then don't worry about doing more. The priority is doing your best to perform the job description assigned to you. Again, even if you're not going to do any other job than your own, there are many benefits to understanding what those around you are supposed to be doing, even if it's just to remind them to do their job. And again, if you are interested in enrolling in our Software Developer Bootcamp, please visit our website, learncodinganywhere.com.